Think while it's still legal. The Kate Deli Show starts now.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
Sure, Charlie Brown. I can tell you what Christmas is all about. Lights, please. And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not. For behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Oh, how much do I love that clip? The good old Peanuts, right? And you just don't hear things like this anymore. So welcome to the show. And boy, I can't believe we're past the halfway mark now. Today is the 16th of December, and it's coming upon us, Christmas. It just happened so fast this year. This whole year has just been, it's been a tough year, to tell you the truth. It's been not easy. This has been a tough year. It's been a year of censorship. It's been a year of realizations. It's been a year of backlash. It's been a year of support. It's been a year of a lot of things. And I'm so appreciative of all of you that tune in. So thank you for that. And means a lot to me for sure. And please share the show with people so they can find it, because we talk about things that aren't talked about. And that's important to me too, is to make sure that we are still talking about false flags like we're going to do today. I've got Investigator Dave with me, and so happy to have you back on the show, Dave. And if you're a longtime listener, oh my gosh, Dave was with us for like more than a decade. And Investigator Dave, in fact, Investigator Dave was LAPD. He was a detective. He loves to kind of look at these. Well, I've been through a lot of false flags with Dave, and so you can totally imagine how many, right? Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Staying warm.
Good.
Actually, the 4 days before Christmas to me is more happier than Christmas.
The days before?
Yeah, because that's the shortest day of the year, and then you get longer. And if you're in Wisconsin, that matters.
Oh, yes. And he is. He's in Wisconsin. In fact, I'm going to ask you to take me off speaker. I'm getting a little feedback, Investigator Dave. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Dave is in Wisconsin. He moved out of the state of Utah. I'm in Utah. And I know it's cold, right? We're having an unusually warm year, which happens in cycles, which has happened since the dawn of time in cycles. It's not man-made climate change nonsense. And so how is the weather over in Wisconsin? I'm just curious.
Well, we just got out of a storm. It left yesterday. Yesterday it was minus 16 at night and -1 during the day.
Yeah.
But
-1?
Now it's starting to warm up. So
-1? Oh my gosh. You know, a cold day where I live, because I live in the desert part of Utah, is probably like 45. Like that's I can't even imagine like -1, but well. I know you like living there.
You know, around town, they say when it gets down and we have a big storm, they say, well, it keeps the riffraff out.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Well, let me play a couple of clips. First of all, I want to play Weirdo Schumer. Let me play Weirdo Schumer. I don't have words for Schumer and Pelosi and all those guys, the lefty loonies of America. But let's get his clip. I want you to hear this. Here we go. This is what he had to say about the shooting that took place in Australia. Here we go. Bondi Beach.
So, and first, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills. They beat the Patriots today. It's a big deal. And of course, I'm going to say a few words about the terrible shooting in Sydney, Australia.
Well, that's nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So go Bills. Oh, and then there was the terrible shooting. I was just laughing about that because I thought, wow, that's a pretty telling clip right there. The other one I wanted to play was this. There are two witnesses, okay, that I have to play because this is just too good. This is just too good. This is the first witness, and we're going to make some points about him. But here is the first witness of the shooting, and he just happened to be, drum roll, he just happened to be in the October 7th Israel event. And I mean, 2 false flags is amazing, like in a very short period of time. Wow, what luck. Okay, so let me play this clip for you. Here we go. Now, I just want you to listen to his tone. Just listen to what he says. Here we go.
We've got another witness who...
This is the anchor.
Wasn't in the best shape, who was caught up in it all and still did what the best that he could do. Let's just run this.
I survived October 7th. I lived in Israel the last 13 years. We came here only 2 weeks ago to work with the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. You know, we've lived through worse. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get the bastards that did this.
Tell me, did you see the gunman?
I did. I saw at least one gunman firing. Looked like a shotgun firing randomly in all directions. I saw children falling to the floor. So elderly. I saw invalids. I saw people just. It was an absolute bloodbath, blood gushing everywhere. October 7th. That's the last time I saw this.
Wow, a bloodbath with elderly and children, because it's a bloodbath. Boy, he used a lot of words. So that was interesting. Here is the guy that got shot in the back, but could still do the video. Here we go. He could still be interviewed on the news. Here we go.
It was very scary. There was a person standing next to me that was actually injured a lot worse than me. And then I just grabbed my kids and just ran down to the beach and hid behind the wall. My wife and 2 other children actually ran a different direction and were hiding somewhere else. It was a very stressful, hour. None of us had our phones on us. So until we all managed to, put it all back together. And then I was in the Surf Lifesavers Club and I came back down looking for them. And there's, bodies all over the floor. Like, wow. It was
bodies
not
everywhere.
Something that you would ever in a million years believe that this is Bondi Beach. So I got graze in the back, a bit of shrapnel in there. So I just came to the hospital. They dug that all out and bandaged it up for me. But I'm one of the lucky ones. But
wow, within hours, he was back on the news with his bandage, showing off his bandage, and he got hit in the back. But and he was clearly so vividly upset about his wife and children, and having just witnessed all those bodies around him. He was particularly calm. So let's talk about what happened at Bondi Beach, Dave. Investigator Dave.
Okay, there was a shooting.
Mm-hmm.
In case nobody knows, but it was very, very strange.
Yeah.
When I first look at something like this, I realized, and I've known by my experience and background on the police department, private investigator studies and everything else, that there's an awful lot of shootings going on in this world, everywhere, Australia, United States, and just not, my gosh, Candace talks about her worry that France may be involved. So anyway, the people are disappearing, and it's hard for me to finally wake up to that back when I was on the police departments. And almost always on these things, these hit squads, they're owned by governments, they're owned by private people, retired people, everything else. They have these hit squads. And if you want to promote a cause, or if you want to enhance your business or whatever it is, you can shop around for these guys. They'll go ahead and do it for you. It doesn't, and they'll pick it up. So I'm wondering, when I hear about Bondi, what happened there, who's behind this? Is anybody behind this? Who are these guys? I mean, who's these 2 guys,
Yeah.
A father and a son. Yeah, they're Akron, Saeed Akron, and his son. Why do people just get up on a bridge and start shooting? Who's behind it? Are they mad? Are they insane? They don't appear insane. So you start to look at it that way. Anyway, there's a lot of strange things that happen. These guys, they had, because of the Port Port Arthur shooting way back in 1996, Australia banned all semi-automatic weapons.
Okay.
And a lot of other weapons. So watching this, and BBC, by the way, puts out a pretty darn good video. One of the things that concerns me is why is it wrapped up so fast, and it's not grainy. It's not grainy video either. They're showing boom, boom, boom. They're showing what happens minute by minute.
Yes.
Who goes where and who does what. It's just
I mean,
incredible.
don't you remember the McDonald's shooting back in San Diego? I think it was, and I played excerpts on that from the show for the show because this was back in the 80s. The guy went ballistic at McDonald's, and of course, the news kept saying, "Look, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. We don't know anything." But as soon as we do, we'll do a report, and that was a little bit more honest reporting than I've seen in a long time. And now they all know exactly what's happening. I mean, they could almost do the news report without having the incident having occurred. I mean, it's pretty amazing how quickly they come up with all the details, and they know who the heroes are and who the villain is, and everything about them, and exactly the motive, why this person did this. It's truly amazing. It's almost like they have ESP powers.
That is true. That's what they talk about, especially over here. You know, they always have everybody come out like Charlie Kirk, and they all talk and talk and talk, but they don't tell you anything. They just say we're supportive of this and we believe that. But anyway, yeah, this came out really, really quick.
Yeah,
it's just amazing to me.
Well,
and so
that first crisis actor, I'm sorry, did I call him a crisis actor? The first guy, in fact, I'll show you this. Here's a screenshot from a page. This is the guy, and he is wearing these bandages all over his head, but there's no blood on the bandage. So it's really quite striking, actually, that you could have that much blood on your face and your head, but not a single ounce of it got on the bandages that are wrapped around your head for whatever reason. There's little things like that are just bizarre. And you look at the guy who got shot in the back, but he could still come on the camera and look visibly calm, not shocked at all by all those bodies strewn everywhere around him, and his wife and daughters running for the hills, and being able to speak about it so calmly. I mean, it's almost like he took, Ambien or something, and a Xanax. And so I'm sitting there watching these guys that they have on camera, and I'm like, does everyone believe this? I mean, they're so unbelievable that I can't be that strange that I am automatically questioning this event. And then, of course, Australia comes out with their more enforced than before. Didn't know that was possible. Gun laws. So I mean, they wasted zero time. You were just talking about time. They didn't waste a second. They got right on that gun control march. So that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the first pictures reflected in this thing was this Arsen Atrovsky. He's that guy with that bloodied head.
Yeah,
and
the October 7th guy.
Yeah, he's a Jewish lawyer, and he's a Zionist. He's written books on how anti-Semitism. He says anybody that thinks that Israel is Zionism and that's what you ought to criticize, then you're an anti-Semite.
Yeah, automatically. And, if you talk anything about their government, if you say a word, because I always separate the people from the government in any country, then you are an anti-Semite for sure, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen an awful lot of dead people. I used to work the K-car and the LAPD. Everybody that died, accidentals, homicides, everything, I have to investigate for 6 months. I finally told the lieutenant, get me off of this.
Right.
Every day it's dead bodies. And I've seen people bloodied up. And this arson guy, it looks like he took something red and slapped it on his forehead and splashed it elsewhere. There's no bullet hole, no marks, no injuries up there. Yeah. And so I looked at the picture real close. Look at the sky above him. It looks like it's painted on there. And then there's a little bit of a place behind him. Look behind him on the right-hand side.
Right.
That's not the beach. It's streets and a high rise there. That's not, his picture just does not match up.
Yeah. Are we seeing some AI?
Yeah, from the whole area. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking, okay, who is he and what's he trying to promote? Well, we know that.
Yeah.
And so then, suddenly we know at least somebody that's behind the shooting. There was a shooting, of course. I mean, lots of good videos on that. And another thing about that, they had to use bolt action rifles.
Okay.
It's amazing how fast they work those bolts. Now, if you're sitting on a bridge and your targets are 75 yards away, and after a shot or two, they're scattering. And so it's difficult to really, most of them away from you, it's difficult to get a bead on anybody. It's going to take you a second or two or three to just try. Otherwise, you're just shooting into a mix. But there's not that much of a mix. I mean, the BBC showed the people running. They're scattered, they're yards apart. You'd be lucky to hit somebody.
Right, right. Interesting.
And the way they're not taking aim. The son at the beginning he's firing a couple shots and he is taking aim.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the recoil and how much it comes up from the rebeat again. No, vast majority of those, and they claim 100 shots. Vast majority of those are just in the sky, not in the sky, but they're just random shots.
Right.
You're lucky to hit anybody. So I don't know when they at first said, the BBC reported 9 dead, and now it's up to 16. I think they keep moving it around with 30 something wounded.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, no, I've shot at targets that far away. I've owned, high powered rifles like that. They might have got a few.
It's amazing. This one is actually shocking to me because it's so unbelievable. So I mean, I'm kind of speechless at so many people that are posting about the hero. Okay. Now the hero's GoFundMe is up to over $2 million because they said that his arm was just riddled with bullets. And I mean, riddled. Okay. So they showed a picture of him in the hospital, and the picture is kind of interesting because it's very sort of like, there's just not much action going on for a guy that's ready to lose his arm. But anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. It's just, this is just so unbelievable. So the GoFundMe is the way to pay these people off. And so what they do is they create these GoFundMes. They paint the hero really, really, really quickly so that everyone knows who it is. And they do story after story after story about him. And then how they get paid is the GoFundMe account, right? It keeps their silence. And so we've seen this, right? How many false flags have we done on the air? Many. Gee. So many to count, but there's always a GoFundMe.
Some they don't even let us talk about.
Yes. Yes. Always the GoFundMe, always the crazy amount that it's getting to. Sometimes I think they embellish the number so that people will post about it. I know that sounds weird, but there's just so many tricks to this. And then you've got the crazy, I was at this false flag and that false flag, and look at me, I'm at another false flag. And so I don't know how anyone can believe those kinds of odds, but I guess people do. I don't know. It seems rather strange that somebody wouldn't even question that, because the odds of even being in one false flag are terrifically, astronomical. So when I see multiple people on the scene that are interviewed first, and they just happen to be, out of all the witnesses, they just happen to be the two that are are involved in other situations as well. I mean, that's a well-paid crisis actor, and we see the ads for crisis actors all the time. But this one actually was so obvious to me that I'm genuinely alarmed that more people are not asking questions about this. Are you?
Yes. Yes, of course, people, we buy anything. What they try to do is it initially, whenever there's a false flag, first thing they hit you with, they want to get it in your head what happened, and then because it's harder to disprove something than to prove it.
Well,
Well,
they come out first with the lie, and then, like you're saying, it's hard then to get people to understand the truth, right? Once the first lie is what they believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a weird guy that way because I look at that and they'll come out with ABC happened and we'll tell you all about it, and then later you learn something about it and you tell somebody, hey, really it wasn't ABC, and they'll go, no, I saw it, I heard it, that's what happened.
Yeah,
and it's like it's a lot of things. 9/11.
Yes,
look at that.
Yes.
I try to explain what happened in 9/11. I've had people just walk out on me. Wow. Some of them angry, shaking their fists and everything.
Well, they have to believe. They have to believe in 9/11 that it went down with even as thousands of holes in the story. They still have to believe it. Otherwise, I think the truth about the government is too much for them. I actually think that. I think there's something to that psychology. They can't handle a lying scumbaggery of a government. So.
It's cognitive dissonance is what they call it. Once you learn something that you've always believed isn't what you believed, it's really scary.
That is tough.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But so when I'm trying to figure out what happened here at Bondi Beach, and I'm thinking, all right, who's behind this kind of a thing? Immediately, you start looking, okay. Who's promoting it?
Yeah.
Cui bono?
Yeah.
Who could be behind it? And are they involved? And all of a sudden, everywhere I go, and I tried searching up stuff on this, everything that I can find on there is, pro-Zion, what can I say? They're trying, and all of a sudden, this is happening at the same time that everything else before this happened, everything seemed so much of it was anti-Islam. You know, the Arabs are behind this, and it's really being pushed.
Wow.
Ever since Charlie Kirk's death, all of a sudden you see it. You see billboards. We drove up there at University of UVU up there, and they got big billboards, pro-Zionist billboards posted everywhere. That from nowhere, just on boom, and painted red, and it's just everywhere. It's all the news. It's everywhere you go. Boom, boom, boom. And so it's kind of weird. And one of the first things that happened on us is people get behind it. Like Mario Rubio immediately calls up and he says, this is an anti-Semitic terrorist attack.
You got to frame it. You got to frame it, Investigator Dave, for the public, right? That's how they do it. Yeah. They got to frame the story so you know exactly who to hate. And that you got to know that we're coming to a head over there. They want more war. They want something to happen over there. And I think this is the main reason. Not only gun control, but this is paint the hero, paint the villain, get the crisis actors on camera first, and of course go way overboard talking about this bloody scene with the vulnerable people, of course, and then categorize it and then shove it out into the press as the Jewish are hated on, right? All the time, right? So it's the constant story.
The prime minister over there is a guy named Anthony Albanese, and he's been very friendly toward immigration, especially Islamic immigration. And he was called up by Netanyahu and chewed out big time. Don't you let those people in? They're terrible, and this is a clear anti-Semite attack, and and I want you to actually chase them out, get all of those Islamic people out of your country. And I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute.
Well, the story is surely painted. I mean, it is quite amazing to me that we're getting shoved this story right away. And, Australia is part of the Five Eyes. We are locked in tight with Australia and England and, the five countries, right? That we all work together and share data. of the NSA spying. We're all on board, right? So you get this incident, and immediately it's thrown into the press as, the poor Jewish having to defend themselves. They are targeted all the time. I remember, I think I talked about it with you on the air when it was the Asian students around the country. They were trying to promote a false flag of all the Asians being part of, people, saying hate speech about them, right? And I was like, where is this even taking place? But this is the constant narrative. And once people started to question Erica Kirk, which there's a lot of good reasons to question that. I'm sorry. I had Charlie on the air. I understand why people are upset that Charlie's gone. I get it, because I had him on the air with me. He's a nice person. But the problem is that there's something wrong with Erica Kirk. So when people started questioning that, now all of a sudden she's more angry at the people asking the questions rather than the killer, right? So the killer she forgives.
She's telling me, shut up.
Yes. And so then it turns into the Jewish question over and over again with Charlie, and was he trying to fight this? Was he kind of awakening to all of this? The AIPAC and the Jewish lobbies and all of this. And so it is rather interesting to kind of view all of it and know that they have to keep the story alive in the press over and over and over again. So you think they're constantly being attacked, right?
Exactly. Now, as far as that is concerned, I really don't know what happened. I've got a lot of suspicion on a lot of different answers. Mm-hmm. But when Kirk comes, but it just surprised me almost to the minute he was shot, just within minutes, Netanyahu calls up and we're not involved. This wasn't me. This wasn't Israel, Why is he calling all of a sudden? So, and then he made a big news conference.
Right.
Again, he brought it up, I don't know.
Well,
it just sounds suspicious to me.
Yeah. And you've got people involved in this people are already addressing the Mossad question. And so did they work as an agent for the Mossad? And then, of course, there's the picture of the crisis actor I was talking about with the bandages on his head, the one that I showed on screen, and they're putting makeup on him. I don't know if that's an AI picture or not. Now, I know it was run through an AI machine because we don't know anymore. I mean, I think there's so much AI going on right now that we can't even recognize. But and we were told it was going to get worse. But in this case, I'm not quite sure about that photo. So I thought it's an interesting picture of him getting the fake makeup and blood on. So that was kind of an interesting one, but I don't know. I don't know. So I haven't posted it because I don't know yet, but
I do know that I really believe the other picture of him with all the blood on his face, that the selfie he managed to take.
Well, you always take a selfie when you're under. You didn't know? You didn't know?
Yeah, but I analyze that in depth. That's not him on Bondi. No, there's the moment that you realize that there's a fake picture, then you realize there's a fake reason, and you start looking at the reason. You start going back and you start looking for the usual suspects or unusual suspects. You start having to go back.
Yes. And and it's this guy. I mean, everyone should be asking a lot of questions. And, I don't put up things about the hero that they identify early on and shove out in the press and tell everyone that this person's a hero. Because I do watch for the GoFundMe, a quick GoFundMe, not even a second goes by where they get the GoFundMe account, and people will donate to that, which it makes me sad because I think we fall for a lot of crap. But in this case, that GoFundMe gets quite large, and then it keeps people quiet and silent. And I the other thing that I want to say is that, so why did this happen in the first place? Particularly random? Are they trying to shove this off as a completely random hate attack?
No, they want to take over the Hamas. Everybody's jumping on Israel about Hamas. Well, a lot of people are, right? And so And to tell you the truth, there were, I believe, people shot at Bondi, and they were Jewish, and I feel so bad for them. And I feel bad for the families. You can't help it, you know.
Right.
I don't know who they were, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard commentators go, "Wow, you know, this is so sad about that," but I never hear that same commentator saying, "What about this Muslim family that got shot? What about their children who had their arms blown off? What about this and that?"
Yeah.
They don't empathize any sympathy for them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Only for Israel. And the same commentators. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute.
Right. That is
People are
kind of
people.
interesting. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think that there's a particular dismissal going on for sure. And they're good at it. It's very, very biased. And so, you've got that. And then you've got this FBI foiled plot that we were talking about yesterday, where they were calling it a pro-Palestinian group. And I'm, it's just amazing to me because they were from LA. So they wanted to paint it in the press as basically these are Palestinians that got into America and decided to do these secret bombs. And the one thing that we kept talking about with this yesterday was, yes, whenever you're 4 people and you want to get together and you've named your group, the first thing you're going to do is grab your markers when you get together in LA. And you're going to write posters that say death to America and death to ICE, and then identify who you are as far as the club that they're in. And that you have to put that on a poster to remind yourself, I guess, of the very secret thing that you want to do. Because it makes sense, right? Because you got to get out the markers. And the posters are just, they look like a 12-year-old did them. But they're very clear. And so there's no mistaking who they are and their motive.
I saw one of some couple Arabs waving a sword around saying, we're going to take over and we're going to kill all of you. And I just kind of laughed. I thought, I wonder who's paying them.
Yes.
How much they get for this?
Yes.
And if you know me, the years that we were on there, I spent one whole episode defending Islam. I traveled with these people for decades, around the country.
Well, you're trying to look at everybody as a human being at first, and the media will always paint everybody in a club. So I like the fact that you're willing to look at people and just look at the people instead of being identified by a particular government. You're out there going, look, this is a family, this is a person, and they're not there. There are certain beliefs and certain things that we hold because the media tells us to about certain people, and there's bad guys and good guys. But the issue is that you're just trying to go, but let's go with human first, and then let's identify by the club instead of the other way around, which is what the media is so very good at, right?
Yeah, they reverse it.
Reverse it. Yeah, because the other part of this was the Bondi Beach Hanukkah massacre. So having to happened during Hanukkah, which is a whole nother layer of the story, right? I mean, that they have to push in the press. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we're all children of God. This is the way it goes. But around this world, and I'll I woke up a long time ago, but around this world, there are a lot of good people and there's a lot of bad people. And the bad people aren't just in government.
Right.
They want money. They want notoriety. Look, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, I believe that, Hillary Clinton hired that professional hit squad that kept them down the basement of the White House to knock off people that were on hers. And who knocked out? What kind of a squad or what kind of group was it that killed Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
What kind of there's just shootings all over the place. Some of them are private, some of them are corporate sponsored.
Yeah.
They don't have to be business, they could be, you could take down a jet of a competing jet company. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that happens,
I'm with you. I'm with you on this. Polly, I like Polly on X. She was on YouTube for a long time and then they erased her on YouTube. But she said, add 2 more to the list of multiple event survivors. I think if the general public understood that there are well over 50 such cases just since 2018, 2018, they might start to understand how scripted it all is. And they might ask, is there a group who were raised to participate in these created narratives? She was talking about Brown University and the couple of people there that were in multiple false flags, which I'm sorry, there's something kind of wrong with that. Zoe Weissman, Parkland survivor, and then Mia Tretta, a hardcore gun control and anti-Second Amendment activist, who has met with the disgraced former President Biden, who just happened to be there tonight. And then both have already been making the rounds on CNN. And yet, you have these people that are so just mysteriously just keep showing up in the press as a crisis actor / victim. And there's just so much of this going on. There's so much of this going on.
So much, and we just have to get used to it. You do, because I can't see any way that we can expose you and I, or you can expose certain things, but it's not going to stop. It's been here since Adam and since Cain and Abel.
Yeah, you're right.
For certain reasons, people have been assassinating, killing each other. Just the way it goes, and once in a while it quickly clears up in a certain area, but then it goes back. I'm thinking that right after Hezekiah repented, and all of a sudden it was okay for a while. Or in my religion, after Jesus comes in for several 100 years or two,
right?
But then it just happens again. Pride, money, greed, avarice, lust, all these things, they're just taken over. I had a friend that one of my PI agents went to school in Israel, and as a teenager he was there, and he was getting spit on and beat up every day. Tried to tell his dad, and his dad wouldn't listen to him. No, they're not doing that. Came back with injured. So you take that classroom and you put them all in Parliament. And he said, half the class would be up front listening to the teacher, good kids, trying to listen. And it'd be half the class in the back, and they'd be fighting and masturbating and do all kinds of stuff openly, And you take that class and you stick it in Parliament, which half is going to run the country? The good guys?
Not likely.
Yeah, not likely.
Not likely.
Yeah, but the good guys are going to be out there working their shops and, trying to do their jobs and raising their families. The bad guys are going to be running it. That's the way the world runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. There's three things, and this is why we're pointing this out today, because at least, don't join in on the social media bandwagon of propaganda, because I see a lot of people falling for these incidents, and this one's way more obvious than I've seen in a while. So, I mean, we've covered a lot, even Parkland, David Hogg and all of these crazy paid off actors, but that we pointed out in the press. But the more that the quicker we're able to see these things, and I don't mean lying in a pool of suspicion all the time, but you kind of have to ask the questions when everything happens so fast, and it's kind of textbook for how these things play out. Number one is the absence of coroners picking up all of the dead bodies that the couple of witnesses that they cherry pick can't stop talking about. So they're saying bodies everywhere. Although when you look at the crime scenes, and this happened at Uvalde too, and I pointed this out on the Alex Jones show as well, is that there's never coroners. There's never anybody with all those bodies. They'll show you one or two, but there's a lack of blood. There's a lack of trauma. It's just lots of pretty bandages, but not anything that would dictate that something actually happened. So there's always no coroners, something that you would always see in a crime scene. And then, of course, the victim list keeps changing in these, and the press just can't get it right. And so that's always a kind of a bizarre thing too. And then the aspect of it being random. And I've done shows on this, and I've pointed out how many random shootings there actually are, because if you go back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s, The one thing that you're going to see before all of this gun control nonsense propaganda and having these things play out, because the CIA got very busy in the late 40s and I think started churning out the lone gunman to be responsible for some of these random shootings, right? So when you see a random shooting, if you go back to the 50s and 60s and 40s and 30s, you'll notice that no, shootings were always, they wanted to hurt a particular person that they usually knew. And they're not as random. It's a very, very weird thing to have a random shooting or somebody just shooting into a crowd. It's not normal, but it became our norm. Like what you're saying, Investigator Dave, it became a lot more frequent, but we don't question the aspect of that. To have somebody go into a crowd, a movie theater, a park, a church, and just shoot randomly, it's such a rare occurrence that it's unbelievable to have happened. So that's why now all of a sudden that's our standard, is somebody random. And then people go, well, it's video games. I'm like, it's not video games. I think these people are procured. They are created to do this. And whatever drug they're giving them or whatever they're doing to create these lone gunmen with the same MO all the time, it always amazes me that people don't question that more, because all you have to do is look at the context of history to know that we're being shoved a box of rocks here on how people's, how the psychology of people, how these things actually play out. It's weird to have a random shooter for no apparent reason shoot into a crowd, right?
Yes, and what worries me is that back when we were on the show, we used to really investigate it, but you find out as much information as you can, as quick as you can, before it's covered up.
Yes.
Because they will cover it up and they'll erase and they'll put things. Nowadays, with AI and stuff, it's much easier to manufacture, change, and cover up stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, like Israel goes and buys NBC because they're worried that they're going to be, attacked, or honest reporting there. TikTok, it has some stuff in there, so Israel buys up TikTok.
Right.
And they're trying to they're trying to paint the picture.
Yeah.
And so to me, and I'm old enough to realize, don't change that picture.
Right.
So just be careful about buying everything right off. You just never know.
I know.
And they could even put fake pictures and people in there and scenes and fake conversations.
I know.
And everything,
It is. It's amazing the capabilities they have. And we don't look at these timelines and say, what would happen to us in the 50s that is so different today? And why are we so accepting of what they sell us all the time? And then all of a sudden, whenever we're doing a false flag, because you and I have done umpteen of them for over a decade, for 15 years. The one thing is they go away quietly. Like, okay, you went down to the church in South Carolina. You actually traveled down there. Remember the church shooting? Okay. And you were like, there's no way this could have played out this way that they told us.
You mean the alleged church shooting?
The alleged church shooting. Yes. Yes.
It didn't happen at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
And we never hear about the supposed victims anymore. And they had a United Way fund that Obama put a ton of money in that paid off the people. Remember that? He just rushed to pay them off. I was like, why are you paying them off? He paid off all the victims. And then you never heard a single word ever from those victims. No montage, 60 minutes reel with the candle in the back with everyone bawling. It was bizarre, right? You just never
very
heard.
much. Yeah. You don't hear much about them, either that or they'll just like the Oklahoma, bombing. They'll quickly execute.
Right.
The suspect.
Yep.
Or Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby.
Or
Jack Ruby kept saying, let me tell people what's going on. No, we're sending you up to DC and you're going to get cancer and die.
Very suspicious, especially when he worked for the CIA. Very, very, he was an operative and he was clearly the scapegoat. And you can tell in photos, he knew he was the scapegoat. He knew. Yeah. He knew his days were numbered in the JFK thing. And then I look at Uvalde. I look at all of these different cases that we've gone through, and I'm like, where's the coroners? Where's all the where? And like Sandy Hook, it was a drill. I listened to the paramedic tapes. I listened to everybody talking, the cops, and boy, nobody was in a rush to get over there because they kept saying that. They were very lackadaisical about it, and they weren't in a rush. And one of the comments that just came in by text was they didn't even look capable of doing said thing. And I remember talking about Sandy Hook with you. And it was all about the fact that this kid, there was no way that somebody could have gone in and done that with the limited amount of bullets that they had and time in order to do that. And then all of a sudden you have a crime scene, I think with 24 kids that are dead, but the cops are smiling and bringing in pizza and soda into the crime scene.
Inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's not a single wounded. Nobody got a nick, not a single wounded.
Yeah.
No ambulance, not a single ambulance.
No coroners.
No doctors, no coroners. And they would not let any of the parents see their children being who was shot.
Yeah.
They covered the whole thing.
Well, and the other thing was they all moved there. They weren't homegrown. Now, out of 24, you're going to have somebody that's homegrown, right? You're going to have somebody that has lived there for longer than 2 years, but all their homes were purchased I think it was the day after Christmas or Christmas. Yeah, it was the day after Christmas 2 years prior. And then they all moved away. They buried their kids and then all moved away. You leave your kid in the cemetery and move. It was crazy. And one of the kids was also seen on the Pakistani poster, right? So involved in multiple false flags. Well, there were so many holes, and this is why the trials came out with the $1 billion verdicts that people don't understand. It was to shut people up from talking about it like we're doing right now. That was the whole reason that those trials in the CIA dummy courts came out with a $1 billion verdict for just saying something, right?
Against Alex Jones.
Yeah, because you have to shut everybody up.
So just people out there know, I am not saying that was a conspiracy.
Yes.
Want that?
Yes.
No.
Yes. It was just very odd, the things that happened.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And there was and the school was shut down. I remember having Wolfgang on with you, and he doesn't speak out anymore. He was threatened and obviously right afterwards. And so we had him on the show a couple times, and he went through all the holes in the story. Yeah.
The Wayback Machine showed that they weren't even using the telephones from there. It was a storage.
Yeah.
Storage. They used that school for 3 years as a storage for old textbooks and things like that,
That's why you had all the tents with all of the water bottles and all of the things going on. This is why you didn't see all those kids running from the school. You didn't see teachers out there. You only saw one little line of kids, and they paraded that picture around as if it meant the entire school. But honestly, you never saw more than that one photo of 20 kids walking out. Remember?
And that one photo didn't come from Sandy Hook. It came from that other school 5 miles north.
Yes.
St. Marie's or something like that.
Yes.
Forget the name of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many of these. I remember Uvalde when I was talking about the fact that, gosh, all the cops are just standing around, and there's no footage of everybody running from the school, and there's no coroners to pick up the bodies, and they never did any stories about all those victims' families, right? Never saw anything else. It hit the news. That's all they talked about, and then poof, it was gone. And if people can't question the fact that you would have coroners lined up to grab all of those bodies and have footage of them taking the bodies out, that never happened. So it's all the things we don't see. And in this case too, Bondi Beach is the same thing.
And the people that are doing it, the deep state, and how you can't really describe deep state because there's dozens.
Yeah.
Of them with unlimited money and funds and power and everything else. They're getting real cocky now.
Yeah.
Because they can buy off the news media. So why try to cover it up? Just make it look good. And then, and if people question it within 3 months, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then, we did what we did, and we're, it's
and
done.
You'll never hear another word about it. And I remember doing an expose on the Chris Kyle murder, and I think they took him out. And then all of a sudden, the killer that they accused, remember American Sniper movie with Bradley Cooper? Okay, so the guy that they accused of doing it was put into a mental hospital, right, forever, and you'll never hear a word from him. In fact,
No, you won't.
these people are used, and they actually, that place that Chris Kyle was murdered at was evacuated that day, like that. There was no one else there, and all of a sudden he goes with this kid and he's taken out. And so I think there's so much there. I did a huge like 2 hours on it because I had so much information that proved that he was taken out, that he would have never exposed himself to a kid with mental issues and given him a gun, and that this kid would have never, at Chris Kyle's ability as a sniper, would have never been able to take him out. And I think that they were sitting there waiting for him and took him out because he was supposed to do security. He had met with George Bush, and he was supposed to be in charge of security. His team was hired as a private contractor for the Boston bombing false flag. And I think he said no. And I think he didn't want to be a part of it. And I think that's why he was taken out, right? Because then a couple of months later, they had the Boston bombing thing, and his security team ended up doing things without him.
Boston bombing was so easy to disprove.
Oh my gosh, so many crisis actors.
That was the only easier one was the Norfolk shooting.
Yeah,
we run
right.
Yeah, and the person that did the shooting and the conspiracy, they showed the gun shooting them.
Yeah.
But if you look at the video, you can see that the gun was missing.
Mm-hmm.
It was aimed off to the side. It completely missed, but they say, no, this is a shooting. We brought that up on the radio, and it only lasted about 2 days. And the people that promoted it took it off the air and just didn't even mention it anymore because it was so fake. So fake.
And they've gotten more so. So ever since Sandy Hook, when they passed that Smith-Mundt Act. So they passed the Smith-Mundt Act. They had it in the 40s, and it said that we could not legally propagandize using our media to foreign, or that we were allowed to do that to foreign countries. What changed in 2012 as a precursor to Sandy Hook, right before Sandy Hook, was we had our Republicans and Democrats, so both, passed the new Smith-Mundt Act that said that they could legally, the media, the government could legally now propagandize to the public without ever getting sued. So
I remember that.
Yes. So that happened. And then immediately you had Sandy Hook. And when it comes down to like the pictures of the victims, I remember looking at the Parker 5 website, and I remember looking at the pictures of the little Parker girl. And I just wanted people to know that in every single picture, she's always standing on the outside of the family. It's almost as if the picture is being taken with 2 kids on the laps, and then you have this third child that's always on the perimeter of the photo. And it was so prevalent. I remember thinking, this is so weird, because the Parker 5 website had previously, the month before Sandy Hook, been called the Parker 4 website. And so can they create a child out of AI? Can they make it look like somebody has passed away and pay off the crisis actor parents? I do feel like that can happen. Wow. Could we not question it? Yeah.
By the way, can you tell me what Charlie Kirk's and Erica's kids look like?
No.
There's no facial pictures.
You're right.
They're all with their back turned.
That is weird. Mm-hmm. I know people think it was for privacy, but to never get a photo is kind of interesting. You're right. You're right. And I mean, I know that that's a heated argument with conservatives, because I'm a conservative. And so I know that people are just, they can't even imagine me questioning her. But there are too many questions, actually. And is she ever with the kids? I just, is she ever upset? Is she, I guess if it were me, I would be grieving for months and not be the head of Turning Point, throwing these galas and dinners and being in the press and making the press junket. But that's just me. I guess a lot of people are just really looking twice at her reactions, her crazy reactions. And I guess,
Yeah, she's taking.
Yeah.
To me, she doesn't really. She's always overdressed, big flowery dresses and clothes and puffy sleeves.
Right.
And, lots of makeup and dabbing her eyes where there's no tears over and
over again. It is bizarre. And that was one of I know that there were people that were there. I had friends that were at that big event that they had where Trump spoke and everybody spoke. And I mean, everybody. In fact, nobody questions the fact that they had the entire line of succession all together under one roof. And they actually made that happen within 5 days. So that's weird. But the fireworks, the crazy show that we saw, I was like, what the crazy show is going on here? I mean, it was a fireworks show. And then even Trump gave this very odd speech with very political speech. And I was like, what is this, a funeral? And I had friends that were there and they said it was very spiritual and it was really great. And I remember, okay, I'm trying to give this a benefit of the doubt. But honestly, it looked bizarre. You would never do that while you're grieving. You would also never ask somebody to film you while you're looking at your dead husband in the casket. I'm like, who does that? Who? I don't know. Geez, Louise. So I was looking at all this going, can I be the only one that's nuts here going, wait a minute, this is bizarre. This is not normal at all. So
she's weird.
I know.
By the way, can you tell me what high school she went to?
No.
Can you tell me what elementary school? You got any baby pictures? Any teenage pictures?
No.
She just doesn't appear at all. She's gone from everywhere.
And the parents are DOD. And you're right. No, you're right. That's a great question. I hadn't even thought about the baby pictures. You're right. There isn't really anything there that they show.
Nothing.
You're right. No, you're right.
Yeah, show me birth certificates for their kids. Oh, they're not around. How about a marriage certificate?
Something.
And I saw one blogger really look for it. Could not even find her marriage between her and Charlie.
Yeah. I've, so if people don't realize this yet, Turning Point funded by certain individuals and very, very highly connected. And these kinds of organizations that are fiercely funded, let's just say, that have a lot of impact as they're going around to college students. And I do agree that the reason I had Charlie on the air was because I actually really liked what he was saying to college students. He was trying to make sense of the lefty loony take on things, which is bizarre because lefty loonies get all into emotion and seriously can't sit there and give you a good argument as to why they feel the way they do. In fact, today I saw a thing that said, ask somebody that's trans what the gender of their pet was. So hat tip, Mike, thank you for sending me that. And I'm like, you're right. There's never a question about the animal or the pet's gender, only theirs. But anyway, so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about this lefty loony thing and how Charlie made a lot of sense going around. So I understand why people think that Turning Point was completely 100% altruistic. But the problem is when you have a well-funded organization, there's usually twists and turns that it takes. And then what they do is like LB says on YouTube, sociology training. There is training ground for people that skew messages as well. And there's all these little bits and pieces, like 10% of it can be a skewed message. So we have to kind of wonder the trajectory of where Turning Point is now going, right?
Yep.
You got to wonder. So
yeah, it's money, it's greed, but not more than that. Really, it's
well, Erica is
moving an agenda.
Yes, because look at how fast Erica didn't even grieve. She's all of a sudden at the head of this organization and she's doing it to vindicate her husband. She hasn't even grieved over her husband. What do you mean vindicate him? Usually that vindication's like 6 months to a year later, but no, she is right there and they're taking in a ton of money, So it turned into a profit circuit, circus.
Profit and power.
Yes.
And everything else. I was telling my wife, you know what? Mark Furman was an LAPD cop.
Yeah, I remember him. O.J. Simpson case.
Yeah, really a good one, the O.J. case. He and Candace Owens, if they were the same age, to get together, they'd be the greatest detectives in the world.
Really? Mark Furman?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I like her. And I'm not always right, but you know what? She's not afraid to question.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Well,
You got a question.
Look, we've lost our curiosity, and I remember getting emails when I was on the Alex Jones show talking about Uvalde, and I brought up all the things that we didn't see, right, that I've mentioned on this hour, and the coroners and all the things that you would see play out at a crime scene. I mean, the coroners were there at Rob Reiner's murder. Okay, so why would they not be at a school shooting with multiple bodies that they've claimed? And so and the lack of blood and the lack of a crime scene, and how many pictures are taken during drills, and how it looks like a drill, right? So because there's just a lack of evidence of a crime scene, there's no shock, everyone's willing to get on camera, the cherry picked crisis actors that get on camera that are fully able to describe what just happened to them. And I look at Erica Kirk the same way. I'm like, is she a crisis actor? Is this what this is? Because she's so okay with talking about Charlie. I know somebody that lost a child, and they still to this day, 2 years later, can't even discuss it. So not everybody's the same, but I would say for the most part, a couple of months post something traumatic like that happening, where somebody's pretty much head is almost blown off in front of a crowd and in front of your kids, you would have trauma. And there's no trauma. There's no visible trauma going on. That's weird.
One of the first things that questioned me, I worked homicide scenes, LAPD. We worked, been to a lot of murders and other stuff. First thing you do, seal off the scene, right? Get all the witnesses together, seal it off, put up the tape, don't let anybody in or out, and then you examine every piece of grass if you have to. You go through it with a fine comb,
a fine-tooth comb, yes.
With a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
And just see everything you can, analyze it, put it all in, in property, and then you pull it out and you go through it.
Yep.
What happened? No yellow tape.
No yellow tape.
No investigation. No cops. No nothing.
Paved over the crime scene within a couple of days.
Yes, and then you pave it up. What? Wait a minute.
Oh, and my favorite was my despicable governor of Utah. He's so horrid. He's such a leftist. Will do whatever he's asked to do. Wink, wink. Okay. And he got on camera and he said, basically, the guy changed 4 times, the alleged shooter. 4 times, and then back into the clothes, I guess. He had that much time, and wasn't nervous at all shooting in front of the crowd for the first time, I guess, and was able to dial in and make sure that he had a backpack full of clothes, which when you saw the backpack, it didn't look full of anything, and much less a gun that he was going to put together, but also the fact that he wasn't walking weird. So I doubt that the gun was down his pants. And then, of course, he changed 4 times, and he said it with a straight face. And you could tell he was lying. Like you could tell that he had a hard time even believing what was coming out of his own mouth, the governor, when he said he changed 4 times.
Immediately, I start to question who has the power, the money, the strength to buy off the police department, to buy off the politicians, to buy off Kash Patel if he was bought off, to buy off the university and the university police.
That would not have been hard, because the brand new, just so happened, new president of that college up in northern Utah is a liberal lefty loon bag. I mean, this chick is, I mean, UN all the way. It was very bizarre, this pick for the president of that college.
But still, if I was a detective in Orem, first thing I'd say, I'm going out there. I'm going to check this out. I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
So you have to stop. You're not going out there. Nobody's going out there.
Right.
We're covering this up. No, you've got to have a lot of policemen that are really upset and angry about this. Good ones.
Yeah.
How come? But they're not allowed to talk about it.
I know it. And the reason I mentioned the Smith-Mundt Act, because that was a big pivotal point for understanding how the government and the media were never going to get sued for giving you garbage news and lying about anything. And what's amazing about that is look at how it's ramped up since 2012 and how how even more obvious these things are getting, because Dave and I just listed off all of these different events that just happened, right? That we've talked about on the air at length, and we poked so many holes in it that you could not leave those hours of that show with you and I, Investigator Dave, without questioning what you were being told, because there was just too many holes. And I think back to that 2012 pivotal moment where they were able to then kind of say, look, all the guardrails are off and we can say and do whatever we want in front of the camera, and no one can do a damn thing about it. And then, of course, they came out with the trials of Sandy Hook. And the trials were meant to shut people up. You would never be able to talk about false flags and all the holes again. And I do feel that people need to go back and look at 2012 forward to kind of see how things have changed. Because don't you think these things have gotten more obvious, like the trans shooter in that church, and how nobody was around and no one was in the parking lot, how all of these things happen where you're going through like a detective, like you do, Dave, and you're like, well, this is missing and that's missing, and where's the cars, and why does this school seem like it's empty, and why do the cops talk like this is a drill? And you're just like, what? People can't see this? I mean, do you get a little shocked that people can't see it?
That one school investigator from Florida went up there to investigate. Remember, he was on our show.
Yeah. The Wolfgang Habig.
Yeah, Wolfgang. Yeah, because he was saying that, I went in, I started asking the people on the street.
Yeah.
And I went into the store and everything, and everybody was quiet. That we don't want to talk about it. They'd look away, they'd avoid him and everything else. They literally intimidated the whole town.
They also gave gifts away. From what he said on our show, but clear back then was that his investigation had turned up where a lot of the people that live in Sandy Hook actually had worked for the government with their close proximity, right? And they were able to travel there very, very easily. So it was this suburb where a lot of government people were there, and that they actually got a lot of the people in this gymnasium and were offering them all kinds of things in order to stay very quiet, because he said that people would get on the train and try to talk to people from Sandy Hook about it when it had just happened. And they were so tight-lipped, like you're saying, they would not talk about it. And then he found out that they had some of these meetings happen. That was crazy.
Really crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if anyone can question the fact in Sandy Hook, all the houses for these victims were all bought at the same time. And I remember seeing that and going, because I did my own 1,000 hours of research on this, and I was like blown away. And, I had talked to a couple of people about my suspicions about Sandy Hook at the time, and I wasn't fully awake even then. And I remember people having a really hard time until I showed them the video of the Parker family, the dad, where he was cutting it up and laughing with media, and then he tried to get himself very serious. And I think that video is off of YouTube now. And where he was laughing, the dad was laughing. His daughter had been murdered, I guess. And then the next day, he's laughing and cutting it up. And then all of a sudden, you can see him get very serious. He goes, I got to get serious now. And then he went into crying
Robbie
father.
Parker.
Yes, Robbie Parker, into crying father mode. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And when people saw that, it was like a wake-up call for Sandy Hook. It was like, oh wow, I need to look into this more, because something's wrong here. My gut is telling me. Yeah,
I thought it was kind of funny. And then Robbie Parker's family they showed a picture of him and his wife carrying the kids, but one of the girls, their leg was missing.
Yeah,
on the photograph.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it wasn't there.
There were some interesting photos for sure.
So I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, this photo has been doctored.
I remember looking at those photos with the little girls thinking, why is she always on the outside of the photo? You never see the parents kind of include, like they're turned toward each other with a child on the lap, but then you have the third kid, and the third kid's always on the outside. And that part was really, really, really strange. And I think that if I were to not talk about those things on the air, if I were not to report on those things, I would be doing a very big disservice for the truth and for curiosity's sake, because I don't know that anyone could look at those same things that I'm looking at and not question. I'm a pretty normal girl, I'm a pretty normal person. And I don't want to think these things are happening this way, but at all the ones that we've covered on the air, there's so many holes, you can't ignore it. So I think if people are ignoring, it's willful.
Just for us, I just want to, anybody who's listening, I don't want to discourage people.
Yeah.
Actually, it should be fun because you're not going to change it. What's happened is your life. You live the best you can.
Yeah.
And, be as positive as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And take the time. It's kind of like any other, to me, it's actually, it's, I won't say a game.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is
for
like
them. I think it is for them.
Checking into things like that picture, of Arsen Ostrovsky, the guy with the blood there at the Bondi Beach. Really take a look at it. I haven't had a chance to before. I got chance to get on the radio with you. But behind him, I'm trying to go through and find out what building is that behind him, that high rise. It looks like an office building, and it's got major roads going up each side. And there's it looks like a governmental vehicle or something, the way it's painted on the side. It's a van. And so I'm going through different, countries. Who has vehicles like that?
Yes.
Anyway, it's to me, it's the investigation is fun. To tell you the truth, I thought I liked clearing crimes, and as also as a PI, and it is very interesting. It's part of just finding out the truth about things, anything,
right?
And so I want to encourage people out there, do it yourself too.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to sit back. Just, find out everything you can, and with your background, because you guys, there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more than me about different things,
Yes.
Personalities, governments, economics and things like that. Throw it all in, find out what you can.
Well, if we question more, I just think, they would be able to get away with less. And right now they can get away with doing this because too many willing people have zero curiosity about what they're being told. It doesn't really make sense when you start to really examine it. And then all of a sudden, you have all these people that are very, very gullible, believing all of this, right? So if we could stop that, you could actually maybe make a dent in how they're doing this and why they're doing this, because there's always an agenda, like you said. Like look at the lone gunman, the lone hero in the Bondi Beach, okay? And isn't it interesting that when you see somebody react to somebody, usually you have more people that are willing to jump in once you see somebody saving the day, but not in this case. In this case, it's a very clean story about this is the only hero. This is the only person that jumped into the fray. And then here's the money. Here's the GoFundMe account. And right away, collecting millions of dollars. Where do you guys think that money is going? It's going to go to the people to keep them silent and for participating in this, because honestly, human nature would dictate that you would have, if somebody were truly a hero and stepping in, you would have way more people actually jumping on the bandwagon, because human nature dictates that we do that. We do that. So you have 1,000 people that were gathered for Chanukah by the sea, and you have only one person. And then, of course, all you keep hearing is bloodbath. They use all the keywords, because you hear this at all the other false flags too. Bloodbath. They go to the 10th degree to describe this. The most traumatizing thing I've ever seen in my life. You hear that over and over and over again with these false flags and multiple bodies lying on the beach. Where's the photos of that? If you have this many people take pictures because we all have cameras on us. Where's all the photos of that? You never saw a picture of that. Did anyone? No coroners. No strewn bodies all over the place. Nobody saw that. I haven't seen that. Have you?
Yeah.
There's just a lot missing here. So
there's still on the Bondi Beach. It's I don't have a wrap up yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just still, it happened, 3 days ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still pulling together everything. And I'm looking at it, and some of it is real.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it I'm not so sure is real.
Mm.
And motives for this and motives for that,
Yeah. It is too quick to say because some false flags don't have any victims and some do. Like 9/11 had victims, right? Vegas could have had some victims, although we poked holes in that one really early. And I was actually down there sitting on the freeway while it was transpiring. So stopped on the freeway while all the helicopters were up on top and right in front of Mandalay Bay. So I was actually down there listening to the cops talk, and they were following multiple people on the ground. So there were multiple people, not some guy up in a hotel room. So you poked a lot of holes in that one, and you were like, there's no way this guy did this from this hotel room. Absolutely zero way. He was the patsy. So that's why, we've done it. Like Dave and I have done a lot of these. Jeez, now that I'm thinking about it. Wow.
Mandalay Bay is a financed Saudi coup.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
yeah,
it happened the same time that Solomon was arresting all of the family, Saudi family, and everybody else, and all aunts and uncles, putting them in jail. The Hillary Clinton there in Saudi Arabia, locking them up, sending over helicopters with transponders off over the casinos and picking up people. The whole thing was a big Saudi coup.
Right.
And they, with their money, they were able to buy off, the chief of police there in Las Vegas and the government and everybody else.
And then he landed on the Hawaii one, the Maui one, the Maui fires as chief of police. I mean, what are the odds? The chief of police in Vegas ended up on the Maui fires. Wow.
That's crazy.
It is. I mean, you can't be at multiple events. This is ridiculous.
They're very powerful now. They can burn down big parts of LA, the rich parts, and get away with it. They can do what they want because they're controlling geothermal, the weathers and the witnesses and everything. And let alone it's not only CI now, it's a lot of other stuff. Oh yeah. Anyway, it's kind of interesting.
Bondi Beach, they still don't know what their death toll was, which I find really interesting. And in fact, your crisis actors with the bandage with no blood on it, that guy, the October 7th Israel guy, and the other one that was shot in the back, but could clearly get on and calmly do a video because of all the trauma he endured and being shot. So he's on there describing the exact same thing. And what do they both say? That there were children on the ground everywhere shot and elderly. Now, where are those people? Because in the news, they said a 10-year-old child claimed the life. Okay, so where's everyone else? Like, where are these people? I would love to know that. There's way too many holes. So, like,
yeah, they're not there. This is they make it up so much.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know. It gets tough. It gets tough because we get, what's funny is people turn the heat on us for asking questions. And I know sometimes I can be a little flip about this just because we've endured so many of these and so many of them are so obvious. But to me, so I do tend to get that way when I'm like, wake up, like wake the hell up already. Oh my gosh, these things have too many holes. And I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I can tell you I've found 1,000 holes on 9/11. I mean, come on, and so we've covered all these together. And I guess I'm running out of patience because I'm thinking we can't continuously fall for these. And then what they want is for everybody to change out their profile picture for whatever said event, just like the Ukraine war, which I don't think is going on. And all of these different things that we get told in the press, but we get the heat. They don't turn the heat on the government. No, we get the heat for asking questions. That's amazing.
Yeah, I discovered it's not only here. When I was on the police department, we responded to a demonstration of a couple thousand Iranians.
Yeah.
Down with the Shah, down with the Shah. And they're marching down Los Angeles. They stopped at the Times building,
right?
Newspaper, tried to shut it down, and they were yelling and screaming. So we responded, and we set up a portable jail,
Mm-hmm.
and started to go in to arrest one or two of them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, one of them with a big sign screamed, and they all took off running
Oh, wow.
right at us. And we're going, oh my gosh, we're attacked. But no, they ran past us,
Mm-hmm.
and they ran down the street. Okay. And I chased them for about a block and a half. And I went around the corner, and there was about a dozen bloodied up Iranian women and men. And some were looking down, some were crying, some were, but it was all fake. And there was a man and a woman that were with cameras, news people, taking their pictures, click, 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 click,
Right.
click.
Right.
Because I knew that all these photographs and things would go against the Shah. And I don't mind them doing that because I was against the Shah too.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell that this was an Iranian made up demonstration, propaganda demonstration.
Like their color revolutions.
Yeah, color revolution.
Mm-hmm.
It worked, but there's so many things, in my studies and my life and my experiences, it's getting easier and easier to recognize this is just not copacetti.
I know. And I know we've covered a lot of ground today, but I mean, with the FBI foiled plot, with the Palestinian nod for that from the people that lived in LA, and of course their death to ICE and death to America posters that were so clearly done, so we would know exactly who they were. From that to Bondi Beach to all the narratives in the press right now, pushing for war, pushing for digital currency. These are the two things that are happening. And the deep state will get what the deep state wants. They control the presidency of the United States. I think they're lying to us about everything. I think they're lying to us about world population to get eugenics well footed over the last 100 years. I think they've lied to us about the population of China and India. I think we're being lied to about just about everything. And we're lied to about the moon. We're lied to. I remember the first time that Dave brought this up to me. Remember? And I remember saying, Dave, there's no way they could not fake the moon landing. And you were like, oh boy, we've got some work to do because you clearly have not looked at the evidence. And I'm like, okay, I'll look into it. And I just remember your face because I remember I said, come on, just leave me something they're not lying about. And Dave was so patient with me. He was like, Kate, we need to have a little talk. And so I started looking at it, and I started looking at the Reynolds wrapped tinfoil machine that they say hurled through space with not enough fuel for 289,000 miles or whatever it was. And the perfect landing, and the perfect landing at 9 p.m. like on a Sunday night when everyone could watch, and sticking the landing. And I just remember watching all this going, there is no way we could have done that. And we didn't do it since. So, and it really was cover for the Vietnam War. It was a way to build patriotism when people were seeing through the lies of war, and why we involve ourselves in war. And the moon landings stopped. The moon landing stopped a month after the war ended. So I was like, wow, you can't make this stuff up. And
did you see the Challenger, the one that blew up, the last one?
Yes.
There's
so many.
The people that died on the Challenger are still alive.
I've heard
One's
this. I have heard
school
this.
Teacher, and
it is wild. It is wild. And the faces of the astronauts after one of the most glorious things that mankind has ever done, and all of a sudden they can't even look at anybody. They're depressed, and they said over and over again they didn't want to be asked questions about it. So look, there are so many holes to so many things that we're told, and Dave opened my eyes a lot early on because he was willing to have those conversations with me. And if I can be woken up, anyone can, because I was more of a neocon. I was just not a neocon, but I was just more like, well, whatever Fox News said was right and whatever CNN said was wrong, even though they're both owned by the same people. And then, of course, it turned into like, wow, both parties are really on board with each other because they only have the same trajectory. Like the deep state gets what the deep state wants, and they control the presidency. And when I started really looking at things, and a lot of that was thanks to Dave, because Dave would be willing to have the conversation with me. point blank. And the thing is we have to be willing to have those conversations with others so we can continuously wake other people up.
Well, there's only one thing that's solid.
What's that?
That you know, and his birthday is coming up.
Yes, that is the only thing really that's true. Honestly,
really true.
Yeah, is you need to stick to the things that are true, and I'm clearly with you on this, because what most people don't realize is I've been, tens of thousands of hours of research. But I will tell you that the one thing that is true is God is true. Christ is true. And the gospel of Christ is true. And so I cling to Christmas because I know we're celebrating it on the wrong time and day. And I know when he was born, but it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. The fact is that we are truly a society that needs this more than ever. We need him more than ever. And so I'm so glad that we're back to Merry Christmas again, because a couple of those years got pretty bizarre on the Happy Holidays thing. But I'm glad that we can say Merry Christmas, and I'm glad that that we have this understanding of this gospel to push us through, because everything else that government presents it's a lie. It's a lie. I don't know how else to say it. So,
yeah. Who was it? Who's that philosopher that said the world is not only stranger than,
a stage? I don't know.
The world's not only stranger than you think, it's stranger than you can think.
Oh, okay. That is the truth. That is the truth. And they've lied to us about a lot of things. And you don't have to have a lot of people in on the lie. There's a lot of people out there that think they know what they know or saw what they saw. And when people say, well, you could never, ever pull the wool over that many people and keep them silent, they never had to. Only a few people have to be in the know. So of anything big.
And put your faith in Christ and cut all the other ropes loose.
It was nice. The fallout of Charlie Kirk's death was interesting to see people that clearly were awful and horrid and championing the death of Charlie Kirk or saying the things that they said. And then I watched the conservatives talk about Rob Reiner. And one thing I have noticed that I will say is that most people are very look, I didn't agree with him. I didn't like anything about him, but no one should have died that way. Okay. And it's so interesting to see people actually be more human to each other than the left, the true leftists were about Charlie Kirk and the response to his death, and so many people kind of dancing on his grave, which I thought was really weird. Right. But it does make me happy to know that, that you have a significant portion of people out there that are just responding in a very human way to each other, especially right now. So that was kind of nice to see. There's always good things, there's always nice things. Yeah. So I don't ever want to forget that, even when we're talking about false flags. So, So
I like Charlie's testimony.
Well, he talked about Christ. Times. I like that. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, and he was great fun on the air. We had a really fun interview. Anyway, in any case, I just wanted to thank you for opening my eyes all those years ago, Dave, because you really did go about things in a very investigative way. And I appreciated that, even though in the beginning I was kind of resistant because I was one of those that did not want to get told that everything was a lie. I was like, no, we got to say something's true. And it was so interesting to me when you kept saying, okay, well, you might want to give it a look. And then of course I'm too curious. I had to give it a look. So I really appreciate that about you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. You've done some good work. I think about all the ones that we covered, and I'm just blown away at the volume of false flags that have taken place. I mean, completely blown away. I know. And you know what? They're going to get more obvious, and you'll know the motive right away, because it's kind of like Australia coming out with their gun law. It's kind of like their advanced gun laws now, and utilizing this, and then also the anti-Semite thing going on. Now, your leftists, they hate our country, and they also they hate all the people that are Jewish, and I don't. I actually can separate them from country to people, just like I would in America too, just like I would in any country. And so all the governments are taken at this point. All the governments are controlled at this point. We have completely taken over, just like we did our own government when we lambasted JFK and said CIA runs things now, for sure, like no doubt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a grandstand moment, and I'm just surprised that we're not more curious, and I wish that we were. So anyway, I really appreciate you, Dave. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, but I appreciate talking to you. This is wonderful to be able to get back and
I know, right?
run through some stuff. And the only thing I do, I might just warn people, watch out for this anti-Islamic propaganda.
Yeah. I know. They've been doing this for a long time.
I know them very well. Traveled with them. I've had in-depth conversations, and they're wonderful people like everybody else.
You know, Dave, I was going to ask you just quickly. I know we have to go, but just quickly, you know, they overtook the Shah, right, back in the 50s. And for some reason, I think we're under this delusion that somehow Iran escaped us and that we haven't had control over the opposition. And if I know government, as I think I do with all the research and study that I've done, they own the argument and the counter argument. They own us, and then they own the enemies, right? So Russia's always painted as an enemy. Iran's always the enemy. Yeah. And I could go back in the headlines for 40 years, and we are told over and over and over again that Iran's going to get a bomb and bomb us and kill us all. And I get so tired of people not questioning that even 40, 50 years later. How can we think that the CIA could gain control and put in their puppets, and then all of a sudden they lost control, and then we didn't have control? I mean, even the kidnappings, I think, were in Iran in 1979 were it was all a story about controlled opposition and creating the bad guys and creating what they were creating, because I don't think that we ever lost control. And I just wanted to get your take on that.
Okay. I wouldn't worry about Iran at all.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know, when I was on a police department for a year and a half, I was the radiological man in case of a bomb. You know, I worked, the terrorism group, and I studied this and learned. It's easy to make a bomb. It's all you need is the right ingredients, and really, you know, the U-235 and you know, we made it way back in World War II. My gosh, you know, just crashed out those things out in the middle of the desert. And so for the last decades and decades and decades, next 6 more months they're going to have it. 2 more weeks and they're going to have it. And they're going to have it and have it. No, that's all propaganda. Yeah. It's all scare tactics. Really,
that royal family was absolutely murdered and destroyed with the nod of the deep state back in the name of the royal family just escaped me. In Russia.
In Russia?
Yeah, the
Romanovs.
Yes, thank you, the Romanovs. Yeah, that's what Natalie Wood. They say Natalie Wood was part of that family. Isn't that interesting? Yes,
really?
Yeah, that she's a Romanov. So they just kind of rebranded her, renamed her, but and then curated her as an actress. But yes, that's kind of if you go all the way back, you'll start to really see all the stories sort of fall apart, and you start to understand how they overtake all these countries, right? So yeah, they just annihilate and put in a puppet.
Well,
and then we portray the bad guys, right?
Yeah, but there's hope.
There's hope,
because I really do believe there must needs be opposition in all things. You know.
Well, they're going to create it nonetheless.
Yeah, and there are. Yeah. And as much as there's you know, these bad guys in deep state, there are people out there. You know, not the Knights Templar, but you know, the other ones. But they are white hats. There are some rich white hats out there.
Maybe.
And they're making it really hard for the deep state to clean up entirely.
Well,
So,
I always think God is full of miracles, and so I think there's always that's why they would have overtaken a long time ago in a very tyrannical fashion if they could have. So,
yes,
yeah,
you're
so
right.
it's
You're
prolonged for a reason, right? But always a nod to that. So just wrapping up today, the foiled plot from yesterday. In all those times of working with bombs and people that were making bombs. Dave, Investigator Dave, do you remember all the posters they made with the markers telling everybody who they were and their motive?
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that we realize how many posters the FBI found and that they clearly outlined the motive and the name of the organization. So, yes.
Well, they found 2 Islamic flags in the car of the suspects there at Bondi.
There you go, all wrapped up in a bow. It's kind of like the Charlie Kirk thing. They had the alleged patsy all wrapped up in a bow within 24 hours. I was like, wow, that was quick. That was quick. Woo. Yeah. So there's that. And it usually works out that way. It's kind of like when 9/11 happened and the Today Show, I think it was Katie Couric, was already telling us who did it within an hour. But everything was down to rubble. But the passports survived. So thank goodness we knew the motive, right? So thank goodness. Yeah. I believe it.
Yeah. And that British announcer over there says, oh, building number 6 is taken down too.
Yeah.
And you could see behind her that it was still up.
That was truly amazing, by the way. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I still look at that footage and I'm like amazed that people couldn't ask more questions about that.
They have to coordinate the time frame better.
Yeah. And here's the thing that people don't understand about you and I, Dave, is that we don't want this to be true. In fact, I'm often going into a story just kind of hoping that this was the one time they're telling the truth, because I can't imagine the volume of lies. It's not like we're looking for this. I think we're as stunned. And when you see talk show hosts out there that won't let you ask any questions about 9/11 or about any of the things that we've talked about, and they fall right lockstep in with every single thing, like even the girl on the train, what was clearly a false flag and AI'd and didn't happen. That too, the girl on the train, because Charlie Kirk was talking about that right before he was murdered. He was acting as if that was real. Most everybody acts like everything is real. So it's kind of amazing when you really look at on the right and on the left, the media, some of the right is just as bad as the left. They just do it with a different tone and context. They're just as bad because they keep portraying the lies, just like they were all in on the COVID fake crap that they spread everywhere. And from day one, we were saying, no, this is not what you think it is. And you saw all the talk show hosts fall into line about COVID, right? So it was like, ooh, that's odd. Save a few. Most of them were right in line with all the events and never questioning the truthfulness of it. So wings of the same bird. Amazing. You're right, LV. Wings of the same bird. So appreciate you guys. Please go to the website, katedalleyradio.com. You're going to find the ebook on cancer. This is 14 pages of solid gold. Get it before the censors take it down again. I've been trying to get this out there. You can't believe how unbelievably hard it is because it has to do with health and it has to do with not taking chemo and absolutely 100% doing something about it that is not chemo driven and not pharma driven to that extent. So the ebook has the what to do and what works in it. And this is coming from solid research. And I explain the science and the doctors explain the science behind why these things work so that you're not wasting any time getting on top of cancer. So go get the ebook. It's at katetalks.myshopify.com. And then also make sure and get Cardio Miracle, because that has been amazing. All the emails I'm getting from you guys about stamina, about feeling so much healthier, about not having the heart issues, not having neuropathy, getting rid of restless leg. I mean, all the things that are happening because you're taking it twice a day. It is that mineral delivery system to your body, and it is truly amazing. Make sure and do that. Cardio Miracle. I know that we need it right now as a culture. So I'm telling you, you can even try it because it has a money back guarantee. Go to cardiomiracle.com/Kate. This will be the best thing you spend money on. I'm not kidding, because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel so much healthier. My husband and I do not go without it now. And then also allfamilypharmacy.com, get a travel go bag. Make that go bag out of ivermectin and membenzidol and also methylprednisone. If you ever had a toothache and things went down, right? And let's say weather warfare happened and you had just your go bag. If you had something happen like dental pain or pain in the body, it actually gets rid of that pain temporarily, which is so great. And I've seen it actually work on people. So that methylprednisone, just to have a couple of those, even for trade, or have antibiotics for trade, this is hugely important. Make sure that you have some Z-Packs. Make sure that you have some amoxicillin. Make sure you have ivermectin, that you're getting rid of parasites. Make sure that you can take care of yourself as you travel. So gather together these things. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate, and you can get special deals on those things. Put in Kate 10 and you'll get 10% off right now. And then also spread the word on that, and it keeps this show on the air. But you're obviously taking care of yourself, but I would get those things under your roof, because we don't know what's going to happen next. That's not a fear comment. That's just a truth comment. And I think we have way more weather warfare. Investigator Dave, what's your thought on weather warfare coming?
Oh, geoengineering's been around a long time.
Yes. Yes.
It's exactly there. We know there's no global warming.
Yeah.
But there is global manipulation, and they have the power to do it through HARP and a lot of other things that they're now doing.
That is the truth. And by the way, all you have to do is ask your neighborly leftist, your family member that just can't get a clue, ask that are so into saving the planet with their plastic bags that are clearly not saving the planet. When you go shopping, everything's in plastic, but you're going to put it in a cloth bag. Makes perfect sense. Make sure and ask them, how has climate change actually affected your life over the last 70 years? Because you won't get an answer. There's no answer to that. It has not affected people's lives. So there's no way that people can still believe in that. I just don't know how they could. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I wish that I'm in Wisconsin, and I kind of wish that global warming was true a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. So yes, I'm telling you that we have a lot of I think we have weather warfare coming. I think they're going to use asteroids. They're going to use, like people are saying, Project Bluebeam is one of the scariest things I've ever read. And I've read a lot, so that's telling you something. But Project Bluebeam clearly is starting to happen with the way that they're projecting things into the skies, the way that they're doing things. And is chemtrails part of that? Is it part of creating the holograms in the sky, creating a shield for that to appear? Possibly, who knows? So you never know. You never know where they're headed. But I would imagine that weather warfare is going to be an even bigger deal in the next 2 years than we've ever seen. And there was a huge article, hat tip, Mike, there was a huge article about Sally Wiles, the person in the White House office, and how she was basically kind of painting Trump as a villain, and they're clearly kind of marking out Vance's path to the White House. So does something happen to Trump where Vance is put in? Because I actually think people would be okay with that. It was very weird. So just to kind of eyeball that. That was a really strange story. I think it was Vanity Fair, and it was kind of a tell-all, but it was a weird tell-all. So yeah. Anyway, we've covered a lot of ground. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
Sure. You bet. And love you, friend.
Care.
All right. And then, of course, thanks for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow with Susan and Melissa. And be faithful, be fearless. And, of course, I will see you here tomorrow on tomorrow's show. So thanks, everybody. Share the show. If you would, go to katedalleyradio.com and visit the sponsors. Please keep this show in the air. Thank you.